Well, hello there, Capricorn. How are you? It is so good to see you. I'm Mary Sue, and I'm so grateful that you're here. Today, we're doing a special reading. We're going to take a look at the next 3 years as Saturn transits through Pisces. This begins on March 7th of this week, in a couple of days here, and it will stay there for 3 years until February of 2026. So, the last 3 years, Saturn has actually been in your second house of resources and finances. You may have felt like you had a lot of roadblocks, taking a good look at your finances, how you spend your money, your feelings around self-worth, okay? And now you have built some structures. Saturn is all about building structures and bringing, kind of some organization to a certain area of your life. Now it is going to be moving into your area of mind and intellect. So over the next 3 years, you are going to hit some roadblocks in how you communicate your thoughts and ideas. But those roadblocks are going to help you to build structure, and organization, boundaries around how you speak your truth. And for a lot of you, you may be moving into areas of creative writing, reporting, podcasting, starting a YouTube channel, really solidifying what it is that how you perceive the world, right? And how you communicate that to others. So really an exciting time for you. So in this reading, what we're going to do is first take a look quickly at the last 3 years. Just ask what type of, what lesson did you learn through those 3 years, that wisdom you can carry into these next 3 years. And then we'll take a look at where to concentrate, bringing structure and organization in your life. What specific way can you do that as far as your mind and intellect? And then we'll ask about the karma. Saturn is also about karma, okay? Where you may need to clean up a little bit of karma, take accountability in the area of mind and intellect. So because it's about communicating your thoughts and ideas, is there's some areas or some relationships that you may want to go back and kind of take accountability about, how you have expressed your opinions in the past. And then we'll take a look at that beautiful outcome, how at the end of this 3-year transit in your third house, what you can look forward to. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to first start with some overall energies with the Oracle card. Snake Spirit, time to heal, lovely energy, and choosing your path. All is possible. I feel, Capricorn, doing your readings for the last year or so, I'm going to say you have really been working on healing these energies around your self-worth, right? Looking at how your finances, okay, maybe have also been linked to how you feel about yourself. Some of those roadblocks that maybe you found in your financial sector also could have been a representation of how you needed to kind of look at inner, self-worth issues, inner child wounds, that type of energy. Because our relationship with money is very connected to our relationship with ourself. Now, I feel like you have done that healing, right? So it's about now choosing your path. Now that you have built some really good structures, because Saturn is about structures, good structures in your area of self-worth and finances, you probably are finding yourself, even if you don't have a better grasp of financial wealth at this time. Perhaps you're not wealthier than you were 3 years ago. You're more in tune with being happy with what you have, feeling a little bit more like you're on the right path, right? And so I feel like you've done that healing, and now it's kind of like, okay, I don't have to concentrate so much on my career, on making money, on paying off debts, or, whatever you were concerned about, stockpiling money, that would have all been in the last 3 years. Now it's kind of like, okay, how how can I move forward? Okay, I got myself in a good financial position. How do I want to move forward? How can I bring more balance into my life? Because you could have been working so hard, trying to pay off debts or get yourself in a really good position financially. And you may have, kind of like, not had enough time for fun, for pleasure, for, even kind of like, just enjoying, taking time off from work. It was, very much of this energy around, feeling like, you only had maybe a short time. Probably with that 3 years, you may have felt, I only have these 3 years. I have to pay this debt off in 3 years, or I have to get some money in the bank in 3 years. I have to save up for a down payment. There could have been all of those types of things, and also linked to your sense of self-worth, right? Feeling like maybe if you could buy a house, right, you would feel, more worthy to other people or something like that. Or if you were able to get a raise, that you were more worthy. Taking a look at those types of issues. Okay, so let's go to the tarot. We're going to take a look at... Okay, Capricorn, I just saw we are going to have fun with this reading. Okay, so we are now going to first take a look at what to remember about the last 3 years, about what you have learned in your financial sector and in your sense of self-worth. And then we're going to take a look at where to concentrate, becoming more responsible in the arena of sharing your ideas with the world. Okay. And then we're going to take a look at a little bit at karma. And don't be afraid of karma. Capricorn, if you were here, you'll have good karma, right? But it's about where can you take accountability. Karma is really about taking accountability for your actions, right? Knowing that you are responsible for how you show up in the world. So we're going to take a look at where you can take accountability, show up in the world authentically with your intellect and with your thoughts, your ideas. And then finally, we'll take a look at where this is leading in after the 3-year transit. Okay, now underneath, the reason that I am kind of, oh my goodness, this is beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. I feel like, the energy of healing, your sense of self-worth, right, is coming into play, and also your romantic connections. Okay. So we have over here heart chakra and man holding a coin. This energy of healing your heart, and also a sense of healing your own self-worth, but then also attracting in someone. Okay. Gender doesn't matter. Attracting in someone that also sees your worth. Okay. They don't necessarily have to be financially wealthy. Okay, I feel like they will be financially stable, but it doesn't matter. With the pentacle here, it is really about that they see your worth, because over the last 3 years, you have done so much work in that area. You also have the fifth chakra underneath, which I think is interesting. That is speaking your truth. That is what you are working on as you transit through these next 3 years. And then you have the family card. There could be some conversations that you need to have in your family sector. It could be where this is where you are speaking up first with your family, with your close friends, starting to share your thoughts, your ideas, perhaps about your worth. You've learned how to, step into your own power, to see your worthiness of who you are, that your ideas, that your thoughts, your perception of the world is warranted of worth, right? And starting to share them. And you may start sharing them more vocally with friends, with family, with coworkers, that type of thing. And then I feel like you get more comfortable there, and then you're going to share them with a bigger audience. That's that creative writing, that blogging, that podcasting, that starting a YouTube, right? But I also feel like because you are also speaking your truth, you are coming into an alignment with someone that also okay, is attracted to what you have to say, likes the way that you're saying it. It has similar viewpoints. In the past, if you have felt like you haven't been able to attract anybody in that had the same viewpoints as you, I feel like you're going to see some difference in that area over the next 3 years. Okay, so let's take a look first. Let's take a look at, taking a brief look at the last 3 years, your area of finances and self-worth, and what are the lessons that you maybe have learned. Okay, I feel like, there is a sense that you may have kind of almost confused yourself. You may have felt there is this energy that you may have felt like you confused. Would have been like 3 years ago that you were confused about your self-worth. You were confused about your finances. It took some work. And I feel like for some of you, you may have even hired somebody to help you with your finances. There's almost this sense where you could have kind of like felt like I can do this myself. A little bit of this energy of I can take care of my finances myself. I can take care of myself, right? Now, a little bit of that energy. And then what you realized is, wait a minute, the confusion goes away. I'm not as confused. I'm not as chaotic. I'm not as concerned when I hire somebody to help me in these areas, especially your area of finances, right? So you could have hired a financial advisor. You could have hired, a CPA to take care of your taxes or something like that. You could have also even hired, like a coach, somebody to help you with your energy around self-worth. It's kind of like, okay, this is something, I feel like there is this energy. This is something I can't do on my own. I am going to reach out. I'm going to get help, or I'm going to hire people that can help me. And this has actually helped to take the confusion away so that you could step into this energy of, listening to the divine, listening to your guides and angels, getting a better sense of your finances, of understanding your worth in this world. So let's go ahead and clarify this. This is a beautiful lesson that, look at this, the Queen of Pentacles just popping out. That's a beautiful energy. For some of you, you could have, even with the professional assistance, you could have hired like a trainer. Okay, or a nutritionist, because the Queen of Pentacles falls into this category too of taking better care of yourself, because the Pentacles represent when we value ourselves, we take good care of ourselves, be nurturing yourself more. So you could have either taken some courses on, nutrition, on diet, on exercise, on health, on finances, on self-worth, any of that. Or you could have hired somebody to help you in that arena. Really lovely energy, because I'm going to say that what you also experience through that is also helping you to step into this energy of setting up for this romantic, situation. So let's see what we have here. We're going to clarify. We have to be happy with ourselves before we can attract in somebody that is loving and sees us for who we are. Okay, so the Emperor is popping out, coming back into your power. I really love that. Your power of knowing your worth, of, when we know our worth, I feel like you worked on that, then we'll feel more confident about speaking about our ideas and thoughts. And this sense that what you have worked on in the last 3 years is really coming into play. Yeah, it took a lot of courage. It took a lot of courage to step into your worth, to understand I have to go in a different direction. 3 years ago, you could have been in a situation where, you changed jobs to help your financial status. You could have left a relationship to help you with your own self-worth. You could have been in a toxic relationship or something like that. You could have left that relationship. You could have even left it like 6 years ago, because that then would have played into the Saturn transit. So, you left some type of relationship, you left, perhaps family or something behind, almost this sense of, working on your first chakra. I have to get my own sense of safety and security. For some of you, you could have felt a little bit, I mean, I know we had the pandemic, but you could have felt a little bit like you were on your own. But if you felt that way and you did this work, right, hiring somebody, perhaps that's fine, but it's almost like you got your power back because you were willing to put the work in. You were willing to persevere. You were willing to come up against the odds, the roadblocks that you may have met in your financial sector or in your sense of self-worth so that you could move forward. Wow, beautiful energy there, Capricorn. Very beautiful. Okay, so let's move to these next 3 years. So what, advice are we getting from Spirit? So first of all, we're going to take a look at where in your area of sharing your thoughts and intellect with others, where in that can you provide more structure and organization? So let's take a look at what we have here. Interesting, we have the angel strength coming out. So this courage that you have garnered, okay, once again, by working on your inner child, your any areas of self-worth, that courage is helping you to manifest what it is that you want. And you're not afraid of the conflict, right, that it may cause. Really powerful energy of understanding, of standing in your power. Kind of like, I'm not saying that you're going to debate every issue, right? But it's about understanding that when you come up against people that don't believe the same way you do or don't perceive the world the same way that you do, right? That you have the strength and the courage to not bow down to what they are saying, but to stand in your power. To say, no, I do truly believe the way that I believe. And I love this because it's kind of like, okay, I'm going to take a look at this, So what would that look like? That could look, in your work sector, that could easily be that you go into a meeting or something, people are talking about something to do with your office or new things that are going to be brought in or something, and you're not just sitting there and allowing those, if you don't agree, okay, you're standing in your power and you're speaking your mind, but you're doing it also in a good way. It's a sense of learning how to negotiate, okay, putting structure around the way that you phrase things. So it's not like standing up and saying, oh, I don't believe that. It's really working your magic when you come up against conflict, when you come up against either ideas that are being presented that you do not believe in, okay, or go against what you believe, or it is about, expressing your thoughts and taking into account the perception, okay, of the people that you're in conflict with. So it's not just like bulldozing going forward, okay? It's learning how to negotiate. It's learning how to say what you have to say, but also keeping their viewpoint in mind so that you have this stronger sense coming across. You may feel like sometimes if you stand up and start to speak up for yourself, you may find that you come into a lot of conflict. You could hear things in the workplace, well, that's just the way it is. Or you could, with family and friends, they could be like, just don't get you, that type of energy. And now what you're recognizing is, okay, I'm going to stand in my power. I'm going to know that the way that I perceive the world is the way that I perceive the world. That is the truth for me. But also understanding there is a magical way to say what it is that we want to say. Once again, that sense of using your words wisely, right? It is a sense of using your words wisely. Wow. And in a sense of power, I want to add that, right? It is a sense of power. Yeah, seeing clearly, defending your position. I feel like there is something about going back to what you have learned the last 3 years, your inner child, your sense of self-worth, your sense of stability. It could be that for a long time you have not really been sharing your thoughts and feelings with either people that you are in close contact with, romantic partners, or even family members, or especially in the workplace where your finances kind of were concerned. You've been maybe holding back a little bit, okay? And the reason is because you were concerned about your financial safety and security, right? Well, that would make sense. So now that you have kind of gotten a sense of safety and security around your finances, now there is this sense of, okay, I see things clearly. I'm moving forward. I'm defending my position the way that I see the world, and knowing that you're going to do this in a very kind of balanced way. Once again, not going in like you could have experiences, because Saturn can sometimes be, the taskmaster. You could have where you may be in a meeting or something and, kind of speak a little bit forcefully, let's just put it that way, and then you get some backlash. It's understanding that you are building good karma by when you speak your mind, you're speaking it in a very balanced way. You're keeping the mindset of the other people in mind. You may even be bringing that up while you are speaking. And for the collective, like if you're starting a podcast or a YouTube channel, understanding that there are people out there that are not going to see things the same way you do, but keeping an open mind to that. Really interesting, because the King of Swords is somebody that's very narrow-minded, but one of the things that you are encountering or building structure and organization around is knowing your truth, understanding that some people are narrow-minded, some of the people you encounter may be narrow-minded, but how you can include them in the conversation. Wow, really powerful energy there. Yeah, including others in the conversation, but also holding true to what you believe and speaking your mind. So it's about bringing structure and organization to that. It could be that maybe for some of you, you would take some type of a speaking course, or put some thought before you go into a meeting or meet with your boss or something like that. Definitely before you went on a podcast or YouTube, you may put some structure into an outline for what it is that you want to say. Have the facts and the figures, right? With the King of Swords, knowing that those people that you come up against, okay, that are perhaps a little bit more narrow-minded, also need to have facts and figures. It can't be all emotions. I feel like that's one of the keys here. Really interesting energy there. Okay, so let's go to where to take accountability. Okay, so, this is where you may be coming into this 3-year transit, not taking quite as much accountability as maybe what you need to take in your area of sharing your intellect and thoughts with others, okay? Once again, you may have been holding back, right? Because you didn't want to lose your job or you didn't want people to leave your life. So this is where the karma will play out. Now, once again, I know Capricorn, if you're here, you have good karma. So if you have been, speaking, your words have been matching how you feel, have been matching your intellect, your thoughts, okay? You're coming in with really good karma, right? And you will be able to move forward very quickly sharing your thoughts. If you have been holding back on your thoughts, okay, it is going to be a little bit more of a bumpier road. You have to overcome, okay? Perhaps like you may have said one thing to one person in the past, okay, that wasn't really in alignment, okay, with how you really felt. And now that might come back to haunt you. It's that type of energy. Once again, don't ever fear karma. It's there. Okay, so accountability. I feel like you're recognizing where you may have held back your truth in order to hold on to your safety and security, right? Now it is a time of moving, knowing that you can do that on your own. You worked on that in the last 3 years. You know that you can provide for yourself. You can create this sense of safety and security yourself. You don't have to rely on other people. Now you can move forward with that. And by doing that, you can honor your path. It could be, for some of you, you leave a career. Okay, so maybe the last 3 years you have really been hoarding money, right? You've been putting some money away so that you could, honor yourself and move into a new career, or that's more aligned with who you are, or start a podcast or a YouTube channel, because it's all about honoring your path, honoring your truth, sharing your truth with others, your intellect, your thoughts, your perceptions of the world. So it's like, okay, I have worked on my sense of self-worth, of safety and security. I'm no longer worried about that. I'm seeing clearly now that I can move forward and start speaking the truth. I feel like for some of you, if you have been like in especially maybe an organization or some type of government or some type of system, okay, where it was kind of like very corporate or very strict rules and regulations, and you didn't really speak up about that. I think this is changing, right? And let's think about it. The last 3 years, we dealt with the pandemic. You could have just kept your mouth closed during the pandemic. You could have been in an area of, a first responder, healthcare. You could have been in teaching and education. Some of those industries that were truly impacted, the hospitality, okay, or entertainment, field. Some of those fields were more impacted by the pandemic, or I should say the people that worked in those fields were more impacted by the pandemic than perhaps somebody that had been working remotely from their home, for the last 10 years. Okay. So it's kind of like, I feel like you were perhaps somebody that was really affected by the pandemic in perhaps your daily life, whether it was work or home or whatever. You were truly impacted, but you kept your mouth closed. You didn't say too much because you were concerned about losing your job or your sense of financial security. Now you're stepping into this energy of, okay, now I'm going to start sharing my thoughts about, perhaps things that happened over the last 3 years, or just how you feel about your perception of the world. Kind of like, for some of you, you could just, people might say, because you do have the 7 of Wands, having to defend your position, right? But I feel like for some of you, you may be backtracking a little bit. And perhaps having to come out and say, I said that the last 3 years because I was afraid of losing my job. Now I'm stepping into my truth. I'm sharing how I truly feel. Wow, really powerful. Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Yeah. You have the Temperance card and the 10 of Cups. Knowing that, I feel like you had to temper your thoughts. Okay, you had to temper them in order to stay on track with what it is that you wanted long term, right? That makes a lot of sense. But now you're understanding, okay, I'm putting an end to that. I'm not holding my tongue, but I am speaking from my heart and also doing it in a loving way, right? I'm not saying that you're going to become like a big, you could perhaps become an activist or a lobbyist or something like that, or start some type of organization based on your mind and intellect, but you're doing it in a loving way. Okay. I do want to stress that, because you're gaining your confidence. Somebody that is confident it does not, right, start speaking their truth in hateful language. I'm just going to put it that way, right? If you're very confident in your viewpoint, you can share it in a very loving way. because you don't feel like you have to shout louder or over other people in order to be heard. You just know. The Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands walks into the room and everybody wants to hear what they have to say. So accountability in this is your accountability for the next 3 years. I feel for some of you, you may be starting out right now, or you may already have started like a podcast, a YouTube channel, a blog, some type, starting to share, starting to build kind of like your audience. I want to say your audience, building your audience, building your confidence in what you have to say, perhaps on a small scale, but getting ready to go into a bigger scale. Wow, really beautiful. Because Capricorn, this is huge. I feel like this is really huge for you. So what are your outcome in the last, in 3 years? Yeah, second chakra, your higher self. You're stepping into your purpose. I think a lot of you in the next 3 years are changing careers. You're seeing the world in a different way. You see how she's on like a hot air balloon, traveling the world. Some of you may actually be traveling the world. I also want to bring up, we have the King and the Queen of Swords on the table, and don't forget, we have this energy of a romantic partner coming in. When you start speaking your truth, right, it helps you to come in alignment with other people that see the world the same way you do. And I feel that this also puts you on a track of meeting someone, okay, that becomes a romantic partner. Really interesting, it could be a business partner, but we have a lot of romance underneath. So it's, perhaps you start, for some reason, you start sharing your ideas, whether that's on a podcast, YouTube, blog, or something like that. You could also start joining some other organizations that are more in line with the way that you see things, the way that you want the world to go, right? And it's kind of like you meet somebody there. Wow, beautiful energy. Because it really is with, the honoring path and your higher self. This is becoming more aligned with who you truly are, understanding. And I think since you did all that work on self-worth in the last 3 years, is interesting how you are really stepping onto your path here. King of Cups, 5 of Wands, Knight of Pentacles, 2. Yeah, I feel like somebody, maybe there's a little bit of an energy here where you could have, it could be a child. It could be somebody from the past, as far as, with the Empress energy here and the Page. It could be that you have a child that you start speaking your truth. Like, especially when our children become adults, because I have 3 adult children, sometimes we hold back on speaking our truth about decisions that they are making in their life, right? I feel like you're finding a very loving way of expressing, okay, how you may feel about some of the decisions if you have an adult child, some of the decisions. And, for some of you, it could mean that there is an end to that relationship or something. But I feel like that's okay, because I feel like you're curing your need to walk on eggshells. It's kind of like, I'm not walking on eggshells anymore. I am going to share how I feel. I am going to share it in a loving way, right? But I am going to share how I feel. And I feel like you've been holding back for a long time, trying to figure out, perhaps, do you want to have a discussion perhaps with a child or somebody else that's really significant in your life? This feels very much like family energy. So somebody that's in your family, either a child, a parent, a sister or brother, a sibling, somebody that's in your family. I feel like you're kind of holding back, but you're understanding. I think this is interesting that you are talking to them. Okay, I feel like they're just a page. They're kind of naive, a little bit of a sense of naivety. And when you have this conversation, I think they grow up. It could be that they go their own way for a little while, and you're just kind of like, well, okay, I can't hold back any longer. But when they go their own way, they grow up, and then the two of you do reunite. Okay, so even if this person has to go their own way for a while, I think you're okay with that, because you realize it's about you, that you can't hold back. So this would be something that's really important to you, not like how they're wearing their hair or something like that. There's perhaps something that they're doing, or how they are showing up in the world, or something that you're really concerned about. So maybe, it is something to do with your relationship, or perhaps they have an addiction or something like that, or you're concerned about, their health, whether physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. You're just concerned about them. It's coming from a very loving place. This isn't just, I don't like your hair. It's something that you are really and truly concerned about them long term. And I feel like you may have a conversation, but out of that conversation, you realize something, right? You have been holding back because you didn't want this person to leave your life. Now what you're realizing is, I can't show up in the world and hold back my truth anymore. And if they leave my life, they leave my life, right? Now, I feel like they may leave your life for a little bit, but then they come back. They do that growing up. They may have to go find themselves or something like that. A really interesting energy there. Okay, so let's pull a soul truth card for you. And Capricorn, I do personal readings, so if you're interested, the link is in the description box below. I'd really be honored to do a reading for you. All right, does my life have more room for pleasure and play? Capricorn, after all this hard work, you definitely need to go have some playtime, some time for pleasure. In what area are you lacking pleasure right now? Maybe in certain relationships or with work. Is it possible to shift the seriousness of life to experiencing a more creative, wild, and playful side of you? What would happen if you added more play and laughter into your life? What area is lacking this right now? Take time to play. Let go of any need to produce anything. Okay, so the other message that I got while I was reading that, Capricorn, is that one of the reasons, if you have been feeling as though, your work life or this relationship is all serious and no play, the reason is that you're holding back your truth. It's about understanding that when we share how we feel, okay, our thoughts, your intellect with others in a kind and compassionate and caring way, right? That we don't feel like we're constantly holding our tongue. We don't feel like we're walking on eggshells. Right? We build a better relationship, whether it's a work relationship or a personal relationship. We actually have better relationships when we're willing to have those difficult conversations, when we're willing to speak our truth. So I feel like this is beautiful, because once you overcome that, kind of like monitoring every, thing when you have these relationships, it's just so much more pleasurable, because you're not always thinking, oh, wait a minute, I can't say that. Or if I say that, what will happen, right? You're not constantly strategizing. You're not constantly in your head. You get to move to your heart, and you get to share yourself more fully with the people you come in contact with. All right, Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. I wish you so much love and light. I really appreciate all of your support through liking, commenting, and subscribing. And I hope to see you again really soon. Bye for now.